I went to elementary school across the street from the Isleta Mission. I remember being there as a kid, and there's this big mural of the Virgen de Guadalupe. And I just remember thinking like being in awe at the time and just being inspired about the piece. Because to me, like I was a little kid, and so it was just more than larger than life. Because you know that thing when you're a little kid is even bigger when you're that small. It really inspired me to, you know, like definitely seek out more art and try to find it in the best ways. My name is Tino Ortega, and I'm a local artist here in El Paso, Texas. It was a lot of steps getting to where I am now. It wasn't just like one giant leap. It definitely was, you know, as a kid, you know, just drawing in my notebook all the time. And then I remember the transition from elementary school to middle school. There was a summer program where an artist was actually going to be painting in the middle school I was going to attend. They asked the kids like on like the second or the last day of school, hey, would you guys like to come in to school on your summer break and to paint a mural? And I thought, yeah, that would be cool. And that was my first instance of like, you know, doing any type of mural work. From there, it kind of fizzled away. And I stopped focusing on the art because I had other instructors, you know, that weren't as nice or as encouraging. And they'd tell me things like, oh, the only way to sell art is if you're dead. At that time, I realized, you know what, okay, I need to find a career. And because obviously I'm not gonna make it on my art because I didn't think it was possible. And so I went and I moved to Seattle and I went to aviation school up there and I pretty much studied aviation. I finished school, couldn't find a job. I didn't want to be in Seattle anymore. And I saw an old sketchbook and I started like messing around with it again. And I started picking up oil paints and getting back more into the art. I got to meet Gus across the street. Gus and Brisa are the owners of old Sheepdog Brewery. And when we were getting to meet them and like, you know, connect with them more, I got to talk with them. And then I found out one day that they were actually directly affected by the August 3rd shooting. And they actually had family members that perished in that instance. And it just made me think like, wow. At the time when August 3rd had happened, I was inspired myself to go out and do more murals. I remember doing an El Paso Strong mural in a chromatic typeface. And so, you know, we fast forwarded back again to Gus and Brisa, and I was telling them like when all that stuff was going on that I had the idea of like, well, why don't we do 23 murals at that time? And if we're gonna start anywhere, it makes sense to do it here with people that are directly affected by it. And it just, from there, it blew up into this whole thing that I never even expected. You know, you're inspired by Escher with that chromatic, you know, reflections of the neighborhood. And that to me was always important to incorporate into them because these are about reflection. It's about not only bringing the community together and uplifting the community, but also reflecting on who we are and what we want to do with ourselves in like present and future tenses, you know? And I remember when August 3rd happened here that there was definitely a lot of outreach from a bunch of communities that weren't ours. We saw, you know, people come from all over the country and try to give back as much as they could. And to me, like when the Uvalde incident happened, it became like very conscious to me that like, hey, it's time for our community to give back. And this is the way I'm gonna give back through our community. And so I got a message one day by Mas Cultura, and they told me their project, and they were saying that we want to do 21 murals for all the victims in Uvalde. Would you be willing to participate? And it just really reminded me of what I was trying to do here. And so they gave us synopsises of all the little kids and the stories, and they pretty much let us choose who we wanted to paint. And you know, I'm a single dad. I have a little girl. She's about to turn 9. And you know, just hearing like of all these 10-year-olds, 9 and 10-year-olds, like it really hit close to home. So I remember like my palms sweating when I was driving out there. And I remember getting there and there was just so much outpour from the local community. I just remember just like being stopped at a stoplight and the light was green, and I was just there like frozen, just from like all the emotion and just all the fatigue from such a situation. I hope I don't have to do that again. You know, it's unfortunate to see our country in a situation where, you know, where we have to do this. And especially when it's not necessary. I hope I don't have to do another one like that. Like, I'm still trying to get to the 23 here, and it's hard enough, you know, like, but, you know, like, I hope I don't have to go back to like another Uvalde in that kind of situation. The murals here, it's about capturing, you know, our culture, who we are, and never forgetting where we come from as well. Because sometimes, you know, I forget that, you know, there's not a lot of murals that are representative of who we are as individuals. And that's one thing that I loved about those murals in Uvalde, is that it represents each kid specifically into what they were into and what they loved. And that's what I kind of want to give back, especially with the project here, is, you know, just give back to that form of representation. And the best way to do it as a community is by representing, you know, like our Latino and Chicano roots, and just, you know, kind of going from there. So one thing I always tell people is that I'm not in competition with anybody other than myself. The only thing I'm looking to do is become better at become a better person who I am, become a better artist, you know, one step at a time. You know, I'm not perfect, you know, I stumble, I mess up sometimes, you know, like they say, you win some and you lose some, and you don't get to choose which ones. So my thing is that I always hit everything as hard as I can. And, you know, I'm not gonna be a successful artist in everything, in every aspect of my life, you know, but I'm still gonna try. I'm still gonna make sure I'm gonna try. I'm gonna make sure, you know, I give other artists the opportunity to come up and, you know, give it the good fight.